We all know AI is changing everything, but what we don't talk about nearly enough is the cost. And I mean a massive cost. So the real question is, who's going to pay for it all? That's what we're digging into today. AI's unbelievable hunger for energy, and how that whole thing circles right back to your wall.
Okay, think about this. A single data center can guzzle as much electricity as a small city. So who picks up the tab for all that extra juice? Well, you might be surprised to learn the answer is you. Yep. Behind every single chatbot response, there's this huge physical infrastructure, and it has a very real and frankly exploding impact on your finances.
All right, look at this number, plus 32 gigawatts. I know, it sounds super abstract, but this is staggering. This is just the projected increase in energy demand by 2030, and that's for just one American power grid, the PJM, which covers a big chunk of the eastern US. To give you some perspective, that's basically the entire power output of the Netherlands. This isn't some slow and steady increase, folks. This is a massive shock to the system.
So here's the plan. First, we're going to look at just how massive this energy appetite is. Then we'll pinpoint where all this power is being drained. After that, we'll uncover this hidden AI tax that's showing up on your bill. And finally, we'll get into the really cool part, the new ideas for shifting this cost and what a future of energy independence might look like.
Okay, first up, AI's insatiable energy appetite. I mean, we're not just talking about a few extra servers here. We're talking about these gigantic hyperscale data centers that are basically brand new unplanned cities just popping up on our electrical grid. They demand a crazy amount of power 24/7. And you know basic economics. When demand shoots through the roof like that and supply struggles to keep up, prices, well, they go up for everyone.
But here's the thing. This energy drain isn't spread out evenly across the country. Nope. It's super concentrated in these specific hubs that have become magnets for all this digital infrastructure. So let's take a look at where this pressure is really building up.
Whoa, okay, what's wild here is just the sheer concentration. I mean, look at Virginia. It could have over 1,000 data centers. It's in a totally different league. But you can see other states are getting in on the action too. Texas and Arizona are blowing up as major hubs. And it makes sense, right? They've got the land, they offer tax breaks, and the energy rules are friendly.
And this really drives home just how unique Virginia's situation is. It's not just some state hub, it's the global epicenter. Get this, it's estimated that by 2030, these data centers could eat up somewhere between 36 and 51% of the state's entire electricity supply. Just let that sink in for a second. Nearly half the power for the whole state just for data.
So, this incredible demand leads us right to our next big point, a hidden cost, one that's probably already hitting your utility bill. People are starting to call it the implicit AI tax, and it's basically the way this whole tech boom gets paid for, by all of us.
Okay, so here's the net of it. Building all the new power plants and transmission lines these data centers need costs billions and billions of dollars. And the way our system works right now, the utility companies just pass those costs along to their entire customer base. So that means the bill for powering AI, which benefits a few giant tech companies, gets spread out across millions of families and small businesses. You see the problem here? Let's put some hard numbers on this. Remember that PJM grid we talked about, the one covering 13 states in the East? Well, between just 2024 and 2025, the consumers on that grid paid an insane $7.7 billion for transmission upgrades. And get this, those upgrades were needed almost entirely for new data centers.
And it's not just the infrastructure upgrades. The huge demand from data centers also jacked up the price of electricity itself. That spike? It added another $9.3 billion to the total bill for the 2025-26 period. We're not talking about fuzzy math here. These are real, direct costs getting passed right down to people like you and me.
So what does that actually look like for your wallet? Well, in parts of Maryland, the average monthly bill is expected to go up by about $18. In Ohio, it's $16. And in Virginia, the heart of all this, bills could jump by more than 25% by 2030. This isn't theoretical anymore. This is that implicit AI tax made very, very real. Okay, so clearly this situation can't go on forever. It's just not sustainable. So a pretty radical new approach is being put on the table. The main idea is to completely flip the script on who pays for all this AI energy infrastructure. Let's dig into how this new model is supposed to work.
At the center of this is a special kind of auction. It's designed to bring in about $15 billion in private money, and it's called the Reliability Backstop. It's actually pretty straightforward. Step 1. The grid operator holds an emergency auction for new power. Step 2, and this is the key part, only data centers are allowed to bid.
Step 3, whoever wins has to commit to paying for that power for 15 years, whether they use it or not. And Step 4, the result is that the cost of new power plants gets covered by the tech companies, not by the public.
And this whole auction idea is getting backed up by some serious new legislation, like the proposed Data Act of 2026. Now, this would create a totally new kind of utility called a CRUS. And what that really means is it would let big tech build its own private power grids. They'd be totally separate from the public grid, they'd get to skip some federal regulations, and here's the most important part. They'd have to pay for 100% of their own costs.
And it's not just happening at the federal level either. States are starting to get in on the action. You've got Pennsylvania, for example, making data centers put up collateral to cover infrastructure costs up front. And then you have states like Arizona and Oregon pushing this growth pays for growth idea, where they create special customer classes just for data centers to make absolutely sure that tech companies cover every single penny of the grid expansion they cost.
So when you add it all up, the federal plans, the state actions, the new market ideas, it's all pointing towards a massive shift in how we think about this stuff. It looks like we're heading into a new era of corporate energy independence. You might call it the great AI decoupling, separating tech growth from public cost.
And yeah, that's really the core philosophy here. The whole point is to finally break that link between the AI boom and your rising electricity bill. It's all about rewriting the rulebook so that the companies making a fortune from AI are also the ones who have to pay its foundational costs.
And to make this shift happen, there's a big three-part strategy in the works. First, there's something called Mission Genesis, which is a federal project to build out AI infrastructure that's separate from the public grid. Second, there's a huge push to basically quadruple our nuclear power capacity by 2050. And third, they're looking at specific deregulation to help speed up all these new energy projects.
And this quote really just says it all, doesn't it? What we're talking about here is a massive transfer of risk. The financial burden, the risk of powering the future of AI, is being lifted off the shoulders of families and moved squarely onto the balance sheets of the AI industry, where, you could argue, it belongs.
So all of this leaves us with a really big question. This idea of corporate energy independence is a huge break from how we've done things for the last 100 years. So as we head down this new path, are we actually building a sustainable, fairer model for our AI future? Or are we just building a more complicated one, with a whole new set of problems we haven't even thought of yet?